Karen, I know a lot of people would consider you to be perfection incarnate. But the question is, are you spiritually perfect?
Oh, no. Try as I might, I'm nowhere near close.
Okay. Well, our guest today is going to help us talk about attaining spiritual perfection. He's an initiated disciple of one of the most elevated spiritual masters in world history and has been blessed by his spiritual master with the formula of how every individual on his planet can achieve unlimited happiness within his or her heart by spiritual awakening, how the entire planet can be transformed into beautiful Garden of Eden-like atmosphere by everyone, how to become reconnected in a symbiotic relationship with that supreme person who is the source of our existence. Now, armed with this formula, his life's goal is to lead the entire world out of chaos as soon as possible and deliver everyone back to their original home in the spiritual world.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Welcome back to another action-packed episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. I say this every time, right? I'm so excited to have this guest on the show, but really, truly, I am very excited to have this guest on the show because I think we are going to learn an awful lot from him today. So I'm thrilled to welcome Sankarshan to our show. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here, Will.
And I hope I didn't massacre your name too badly.
Oh, you're doing great. You're a pro, definitely a pro. There's no doubt about
it. Well, thank you for that. There's a lot of directions that we can head in, and I do firmly expect the show to go in myriad of directions. So let's just start with the biggest question here. Who is your master that you said you've been elevated to the most spiritual level by?
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Sri Dandi Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, the founder acharya of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He showed up here in America just in the heart of the hippie movement in 1965, and became very popular with the hippies, actually, in New York and later in the Summer of Love in San Francisco. And the hippies joined by the thousands, and he sent them all over the world, and then created a whole movement. George Harrison got into it also. George Harrison picked it up. Even all the Beatles actually got interested.
You are talking about a historical figure that is fairly well known, but the most curious thing for me is when we initially talked, you had mentioned that you had achieved the perfect level of bliss. I know that everyone listening in, especially Karen, is going to want to achieve that. So
Absolutely.
How did you manage to do that?
Well, it's very simple. It's called the science of Bhakti Yoga. It's a matter of tuning in, turning on, and blissing out 24 hours a day. Realizing, first of all, I'm not this material body. It's just my actual identity is I'm an eternal spiritual being, qualitatively one with that supreme person is the source of all existence. So my actual natural quality is to be full of bliss and knowledge. That's my actual quality. So you simply have to stop misidentifying with that material body, which is basically a rotting, it's heading towards death with every breath. So why misidentify with something which is guaranteed to die when you can identify with the eternal spiritual being within who's full of bliss and full of knowledge? It's a matter of re-identifying with your actual nature, getting rid of the false identification with matter. By engaging that material self, the material body, in the service of that supreme self, you actually realize the supreme self.
When you put it that way, it sounds rather, it sounds easy enough, but it's just not. How can you help people to identify?
What makes it easy is association. If you try to do it on your own, it's difficult. But if you associate with those who are already on just like guitar playing, you try to figure out how to play guitar on your own, where are you going to go? But if you have a guitar teacher, someone who plays really well, you go, wow, it's not that difficult. Association is actually the key.
Oh, I like that.
Now I know what I've been doing wrong with the guitar.
Is that what it is? So on a complete side note, are you musical? Do you play an instrument? Because you're talking about the Beatles and the guitar. I just kind of feel like there's
I
this
was
musical
I was
background.
a hippie singer-songwriter back in the old days.
knew it.
Very popular in Austin, by the way. Music capital of the world. Before I became a Hare Krishna devotee, and a singer-songwriter out to save the world by my songs. When I found the ultimate song was the Hare Krishna mantra.
Do you find that connection with music has helped you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm really into singing, or it's called kirtan in Sanskrit. It's a very integral part of our daily life. We start off at 4:30 in the morning singing with our singing is a very integral part of our day. We're singing again and again. So it's great for me. My mother was also a voice major in college, so I come from a good background. I'm really into singing. Singing is it's called mantra yoga.
Yeah, they say that, I think mostly in religious organizations, they talk about the fact that singing is praying, but like tenfold. It connects you with the universe a lot easier, a lot faster than
See, the whole
just
thing is emotions. You don't want to just you put your heart and soul into it, your feelings. And music is a great way to do that.
wow.
That's true, because you kind of get out of your physical body when you're singing, and you just kind of feel those vibrations and that music that you're making.
Singing is a very powerful thing.
So then getting back to the spiritual perfection, you're saying by association, you're saying that just by making a conscious decision that you're not the physical body that we inhabit, that we're much more than that. I assume that's how you are saying that people can attain spiritual perfection.
One has to learn. The Bhagavad Gita is the basic textbook of spiritual perfection. Krishna taught it 5,000 years ago to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's an actual thing that happened. In this book, if you follow the Bhagavad Gita, which is available on Amazon, go to Bhagavad Gita as it is on Amazon, Bhagavad Gita as it is. This book, if you actually follow it carefully, you will actually achieve spiritual perfection. Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, as well as whatever you may do, and I'll do that as an offering to me. So one learns how to, Krishna is actually that supreme person. Of course, God is unlimited. He has unlimited names. But Krishna is the all-inclusive name. It means the all-attractive one. So every aspect of God is an attractive feature, like a multifaceted diamond. The name Krishna includes every single attractive aspect of God. So by following these teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, you can actually learn how to tune in to your original divine consciousness as a servant of that supreme person, and actually do it in your everyday actions, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep at night.
And I will put a direct link to that book on Amazon on our show notes. So if you're interested in that, in looking deeper into that book, all you have to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to the episode, and you'll find the link directly there. I know I'd have a hard time spelling Bhagavad Gita, so I'm going to look it up and put it on the show notes. It'll be much easier.
Very easy. BHAGAVAD-GITA. Bhagavad Gita. Very simple.
Well, thank you. It'll make my search much easier. So, okay. So then you also talk about the fact that you have a way, or you know how to solve all the world's problems. Is it related to what you just told us?
Absolutely. The Bhagavad Gita is if it is applied by the world's leaders, but there'll be no more wars. I mean, everything will become a beautiful paradisial atmosphere simply by taking these teachings and putting them into practice. It's not my formula. I'm just a servant of it. Bhagavad Gita is the formula for perfect individual and global peace.
So are you always happy?
Actually, I'm always unhappy. To see a whole world in which everybody is an illusion. So my unhappiness is my happiness, actually.
Okay, so
that's hard to wrap my mind around.
Yeah. We opened up the interview by saying that you had achieved a perfect state of bliss, but now you're saying that you're unhappy. How do you connect those two?
Perfect unhappiness also, because my suffering is just, my happiness is to feel suffering on account of all the suffering people throughout the whole world. You see? The more you can feel empathy or sympathy for those who are suffering, that is actually a purification of consciousness. in other words, the more you become selfless, the more you achieve actual happiness. You see. So
Okay.
to feel unhappy about the suffering of everyone else, that is actually the supreme happiness.
Okay. So
If you want, who don't care damn about those rascals, let them suffer. That's not a happy mood to be in.
Right.
Actually
That's getting
feel
worse.
compassion for the people who are suffering like anything. That's actual happiness, because that you become, the more you feel compassion for the suffering souls who are forgetting God, the more God becomes pleased with you, and the more you become pleased to God, the more you become happy.
Wow. So you're speaking in really terms that are hard to wrap your head around at first listen.
That's
Right.
a fact. That's why we have training programs. You go to joincourse.com and you get you into a daily lesson. Joincourse.com. My personal course, we have 28,000 people signed up for it right now. Join
Wow.
course,
That's a
a
great
daily
start.
lesson.
That would help quite a bit. I know it would help me. Now, you feel that our present leaders are unqualified to lead us. What do you mean by that?
They're not basing in any spiritual principle. They're just simply on some material principles. They're not seeing who's the actual proprietor of this whole Earth planet. They're saying, well, this is American turf, that's Russian turf. We're not seeing that everything, actually God is the proprietor of everything. This is God's property. If we're fighting over who owns this place and who should control it, we're not saying the supreme owner is actually God himself, and his laws should be the controlling factor. Not what I say or what you say, what God says should be the governing principle of the whole planet.
So then how can we change that? How can we make that happen?
That's why we're distributing this knowledge. I did get some response from what was his name, Obama. Yeah, I have a song called "The Peace Formula" that I sent it and he really appreciated it. It was a nutshell presentation of the Gita's teaching in a song form, the Peace Formula song, and he appreciated it. So we need the leaders to appreciate this knowledge and then put it into practice. So I did make a little progress with Obama. Of course, he didn't get me. He's not in office anymore. He was showed a little sensitivity for hearing this stuff and appreciating it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think part of the struggle might be that a lot of the leaders feel like they are involving spirituality or religion in their lawmaking, but I think they're kind of picking and choosing different religions and different rules to apply.
It's hype. Hype to get elected. Hype. It's just a hype to get elected.
Yeah.
They really care about it. Let them close the slaughterhouses. These cows. We grow up with our mother's breast milk, and then we go to the breast milk of the cow. She's our second mother. How we can kill our second mother and eat her? They need to close these slaughterhouses. There's so much bad karma is coming out of killing all these cows. We can't imagine. We sent our mothers to the slaughterhouse, then we had to send our boys to Vietnam slaughterhouse. Also, karmic reaction.
So I assume then that you are not a carnivore.
Absolutely. We only eat vegetarian foods offered love and devotion to Lord Krishna. Krishna says, if you offer love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, food, or water, I will accept it. So everything we eat is sanctified, sacred food. I've been eating this way for 50 years now. It's pretty good stuff. Even on the airplane, we bring our own, and they heat it up for us. We bring Krishna blessed food on the airplane, and they heat it up for us.
And where do you get that food?
We make it ourselves.
Okay.
We have a cookbook. You can called what's it called? I forget the name of the cookbook, but it's there. You can. We have. You'll pop my mind in a minute. But we have so many cookbooks. Any vegetarian food stuff. It doesn't have any meat, fish, or eggs in it. You can make get a special plate that's only for the Lord. Put a nice picture of Krishna on a nice place in your cupboard or wherever, and just offer Krishna a plate of the food. And then after you give them a few minutes, then you can merge it back into the pots, and it's all offered to Krishna. It's all sanctified food. We have our restaurant server. You're in Los Angeles?
We're in Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay. Yeah, we have restaurants all over the world. Famous Hare Krishna restaurants. Very popular.
Wow.
And the Hollywood people come to our restaurant in Los Angeles on Watsik Avenue. Very popular with the actors and the directors out there in Hollywood.
Wow. I did not know that. I did not know there was a Krishna restaurant. I would love to go to one.
We're such a military community over here, so it's like the opposite
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. We live in probably one of the most unenlightened areas of the country.
They actually called me up to go fight in Vietnam. They called me up to fight,
Wow.
but I was really, I was just praying, dear God, please don't let me go into. I hadn't joined the Hare Krishnas yet. I was just a singer-songwriter, brahmachari. I mean, a singer-songwriter, hippie. But I was praying, dear God, please don't let me go into the army. And it's amazing. They sent me to I put down I was psychologically unfit. They sent me to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And this guy had actually served in Vietnam, seeing all the messed up kids whose minds are totally blown of being in that horrible atmosphere. So he was very sympathetic. So he said, looking right in the eyes, he said, "You're sane, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am, but I just don't want to kill." He said, "I'll see what I can do to help you." He gave me 4F deferment, the ultimate deferment.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
4F.
That's
He
great.
was kind to me. I was prayed. I prayed I wouldn't have to fight, and by God's grace, I would say that a very pious psychologist
All right.
saved me from having to fight in Vietnam. It killed.
So it's really all about loving everyone and everything.
If you love the source, if you love the supreme person, you see, everyone else is expanded energy, is offspring. When you water the root of the tree, that goes to all the leaves and branches. When you feed your belly, you nourish every cell in your body. So when you actually focus on giving your loving service to that supreme person, the source of all existence, then automatically you can love yourself and all living entities perfectly.
So having this enlightenment and this perfect spiritual soul, how is it difficult for you when you're out and about and someone is really rude or, cuts you off in traffic, or does that just not even faze you?
No, I don't bother. I don't let it bother me.
See, that's great.
I take it just the
I know
opposite.
somebody who needs
Actually,
that.
I just take it the opposite. If somebody's really, really friendly and I give them a wave and they wave back, I take it the opposite side. If somebody is kind, I reciprocate. Oh, thank you very much. And they wave back. I create that kind of a movement.
Right. And you read a lot of books and you hear a lot of people talking about the fact that when you put that you put the negative energy out there, that's what you get back, and positive energy brings back positive.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can turn things around
Absolutely. If you will chant Hare Krishna every day, you'll be tuning the ultimate positive energy. And then you can put out positive energy all day long wherever you go.
How long did it take you to get to that point? Because I've been trying for a long time to find that inner bliss, not to flip off the guy that just
I began my
cut me off.
I began my spiritual search in Denver in 1968.
Wow.
And I didn't really take it. It took me all the way to the spring of 71. So it took me about 3 years before I really got connected. 3 years it took me searching.
And what made you start this search?
Well, I was miserable as hell as a college kid. I want to know the meaning of life, and nobody could tell me. None of the courses taught me, none of the philosophers. In fact, I was roaming the aisle of the campus bookstore trying to find a title that would tell me the meaning of life. And there was 2 essays of Soren Kierkegaard printed in one book. And the 2 titles read, I took it as one title. It said, Fear and Trembling, the Sickness unto Death. And I said, oh, he says that life is simply an experience of fear and trembling. So I didn't find it there. I didn't find it, but I heard about the self-realization process. Eventually I got connected with Krishna, and that was my beginning, but I didn't really know it in detail. It's a long story. I'm writing a book about it, actually. I'm writing it right now, a book, my own path of awakening and how you can become awakened. I'm working on the book right now.
Well, I think a lot of people who are listening to this might be, everyone has heard about the Hare Krishna, I think. What I personally don't know a lot about the movement. We're hearing a lot from you about the fact that it's about love and it's about loving the supreme person.
Right. And that love goes to everyone automatically. When you lead your belly, all the parts of your body.
Right. So, but when people think about Hare Krishna, the image comes to mind where people that look very similar to you, you have no hair, you've got the robes on, you're dancing, and singing in the airports and things like that. It's a big hippie movement kind of thought process, right? That's what people kind of tie into the Hare Krishna, but there's a lot more to that, right? I know
Well,
that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you give us a little bit?
Now our movement is mostly Indians. The Americans
Is it
are
really?
a minority. Mostly people from India have joined all over the world. We have Indians joining from all over the world.
So then it was prevalent in the 60s here in the US. What happened? Why did it kind of fade?
They mostly got so many beautiful young girls joined and nice looking young guys. They all got married and got jobs and had kids. They're still practicing, but they have families and have corporate jobs now. They come on Sunday to the temple. That's what happened to most of them. They got that nice girl who joined. They saw those nice girls who joined. They ended up getting married and getting jobs like that.
Okay. So you don't have to completely devote your entire life to this. You can actually have a life and still devote yourself to it.
I mean, I have one of my disciples in Latvia. He owns what's called European Hit Radio. That's his thing. His radio station plays all the top hits. It's a big radio station in Riga, Latvia, European Hit Radio. He has a full-time business, but he's my disciple also.
So is that what happened to the hippie movement? Everybody just went out and got jobs?
Well, some of us are still full-time preachers. Some of us.
Maybe there's a lot of Krishnas undercover.
Some of us are still full-time preaching. Not, there's maybe a few hundred are still full-time preaching.
Yeah, that's a big decline from when it used to be, right? Or
our numbers have increased like anything because we have a huge congregation now.
Oh,
see, we have a huge congregation. Our movement is much bigger than it was formerly.
Oh,
much bigger. It's not so visible before because everybody's working jobs.
That's it. You're not as visible as you used to be.
Yeah, it's visible. We're much more financially more powerful. Much larger. The number is much larger number of people in our movement now.
So someone joins the movement. What does that mean? What do they have to do? What do they do on a daily basis?
Well, somebody wants to practice Krishna consciousness, and they get meditation beads called japa beads, and they chant the Hare Krishna mantra a set number of times every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a very powerful way to tune into that supreme source of all existence and elevate your consciousness totally beyond the material energy. You could do it yourself. You get up every morning and you have your chanting beads, and you chant on the beads every day before you begin your normal daily activities. It's a very powerful way. You just tune into Krishna very intensely, just like George Harrison did in My Sweet Lord. You tune into Krishna very, very intensely, see everything in relation to him, and your whole day becomes like a magical mystery to it.
Oh, I like that.
So
is there a temple or a church that people go to?
Yeah, we have all over the world. We have we here in Austin right now. We're kind of a small getting started here. We're using our house as a center here, but we have some property just up the street we purchased. And we're making plans now to make a big temple here in Austin, right up the street from this house.
Is there a website or something if someone was interested and wanted to find a temple in their area, somewhere where they could go?
You just go to iskcon.com, iskcon.com.
iskcon.com.
iskcon.com. You can check it out.
I wouldn't even know where to start here.
Good point. And there may not be something right here, but it might be, DC or something like that.
And if there's not
they can get on my e-course and get connected every day in their emails at joincourse.com. I recommend that also. And then they can ask me questions also. They can take guidance, even if there's no center in their area, they can take guidance instruction directly from me. I answer tons of emails every day from people asking me how to practice Krishna consciousness. That's my full-time job, is to teach people how to practice Krishna consciousness.
That's a pretty nice job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Supreme job. Okay. Called being a guru, a real guru. Not one of these false gurus just after money and women. A real guru, actually teaching how to become self-realized. That's what I'm doing.
So do you feel that Krishna consciousness is the only path, the only true path?
Actually, Christ consciousness and Allah consciousness, Jehovah consciousness is all really the same thing. It's about a different way of saying it. But Allah is also the supreme person. Allah is another name for Krishna. Jehovah is another name for Krishna. So You want to follow Allah or Jehovah? That's great. We'll teach you how to do it perfectly. How to be a perfect Muslim, a perfect Christian, a perfect Jew, a perfect Buddhist. We'll teach you. You don't have to change religions. We'll teach you how to be a perfect Christian.
Wow. I thought you totally had to change religion.
No. In fact, Jesus brought me to Krishna consciousness. Pretty interesting
Really?
story. I was reading the Bible thinking, how can I be like Jesus? And I said, well, he just did what God wanted. But then I started praying that God revealed to me his will. And he revealed to me I should chant Hare Krishna.
Wow.
So I'm a Christian Hare Krishna because Jesus brought me to Krishna consciousness.
See, I never knew that. That's fascinating.
I never in a million years would have thought that.
It's not a sectarian religion. It is the universal science of God that applies to everyone. We teach you how to be a perfect Sikh, a perfect Jain, a perfect Jew, a perfect Christian, a perfect Muslim, everything. We teach you all of it.
Krishna movement is not a religion.
No, it's not a religion. We're teaching what is the essence of religion. It applies to
Wow.
everyone.
Okay. I'm so glad we had you on the show. I would not have
See all
ever
these
known
books
that. I don't
back
think.
here? It's a whole science. This is all about Krishna consciousness. All these books behind me. It's a big, big science.
So, what seems to be the most challenging part for people that are new to Krishna consciousness?
Bad association.
How so?
People who believe that yes, I am this body, and my purpose in life is to gratify my tongue and belly, genitals as much as possible. That kind of association is bad.
Okay,
People who are totally convinced to eat, my tongue, my belly, and my genitals, everything centers around that, and I just have to gratify them as much as possible. That kind of association, it makes it hard. So that's why we have our meetings where people come and associate with us, and they use association in a positive way instead of have a negative impact on it.
Yeah, I could see how that would be challenging, especially in the American culture. We're so focused on that self-gratification and that instant gratification that after 20, 30 years, it would be hard to give up.
That's how we were trained. I remember as a kid, things go better with Coca-Cola. I grew up with that. And you just think, I have to have Coke to be happy. But my parents wouldn't have me have it because of that caffeine. And I was thinking, my parents are no good. They won't let me have Coca-Cola. That's how I grew up, you see, in that kind of mentality, American consumerism, right? Mm-hmm. You got to go beyond that. You got to realize I'm an eternal spiritual being. My actual happiness is to reawaken loving relationship with a supreme person, whether you call him Krishna, Allah, Jehovah, whatever. He has unlimited names. So you just had to reconnect with that supreme person, loving relationship. That's my actual happiness.
So was this a gradual process for you, or did you have that
just one
moment of
very gradual?
My gosh. Okay.
Very gradual. I mean, I first started chanting Hare Krishna in 1968 and didn't actually become a full-fledged devotee until 1971. You can consider.
Okay.
For me, it was very gradual. I didn't jump into it all of a sudden. It was very, very gradual.
And so there wasn't like that one moment where all of a sudden everything clicked and you're like, aha.
No, for me, it wasn't like a big sunrise. It wasn't does the sun pop up all of a sudden? It goes from dark to day instantly? No, sunrise is a very gradual process. So for me, it was like a sunrise, not like a sun going boop, like a sunrise. Sunrise is a gradual process. For me, it was a gradual process like a sunrise. Little light, a little bit more light, a little bit, and then finally full sun.
And I guess that question is kind of reflective of, again, that whole instant gratification. It's like, do you get that all of a sudden? So it's I guess a lot about learning patience too, and calmness maybe.
Absolutely. You become, all saintly qualities come, compassion, patience, all of these saintly qualities come automatically when you awaken your Krishna consciousness. They're natural byproducts.
So here's a question that is near and dear to my heart.
Good, I'm ready.
How can everyone live to be 100? That's one of the questions that you had on the form. So how can I live to be 100?
There's a nice verse in the scriptures that says that one can aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continually goes on doing work in that sort of way, because that sort of work will not bind in the law of karma, and there's no alternative to this way for man. So when you take up a life of devotion, you can live past 100. There's actually you take up a life of devotion. Now you're in perfect harmony with the source of all existence. You'll definitely expand your lifespan. There's no doubt.
So then, to follow up on that question, should I want to live to 100? Because in
That's
your intro,
actually not really the issue. You should, you should, because actually you're going to live forever. You will never die. You will live eternally. That's a fact. You should turn on your actual eternal identity, and whatever going to happen with the body, leave that up to Krishna or God. You should.
so I should have specified, how can I live to be 100 on this planet?
I can guarantee you, if you take up Krishna consciousness, your lifetime your lifespan will definitely expand. If you take up this chanting process, giving up meat, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, which shorten your lifespan, you definitely increase your lifespan. Okay.
Wow.
If I eat slaughtered cows, I'm paying somebody to kill the cows. That's going to shorten my lifespan. I'm paying for death. I'm paying my mother who gave me milk, her breast milk when I was a little kid. I'm paying to have her killed. That's going to shorten my lifespan for sure.
So some of the other things that you said that you can talk about, obviously, I think I know where we're going to be heading with them, but it was world hunger, world peace, things like that. Is that all in the same vein as what you've been talking about?
Those are automatic byproducts. When you put God back in the center, everything becomes more and more auspicious. The more you put God back in the center.
Right. Really about a change in focus from your physical reality to God.
It's a matter of being, it's more accurate to say, instead of being self-centered, become God-centered. That's the truth. Instead of thinking that I'm God, walking around like I'm God, realize I'm not God, I'm a servant of God. So it's called Ishavasha, the God center. Let's put God back in the center of everything we do, everything we think, everything we say, and the whole world then become transformed. If one or two people start doing it, others will pick it up. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm really happy you give me this access to the radio, because I'm convinced that we can revolutionize this entire universe. Not even the planet, but even the whole universe. There's living beings on other planets too. I'm convinced we can revolutionize the whole universe by what I'm teaching.
But how do we get people to follow it? Like the politicians and the people in power.
I'm doing it every day. I got 300 initiated disciples, and I got 30,000 people on my e-course, or 28,000, excuse me, on my sign up for my course. You just got to keep putting the message out there, putting it out there. How do you catch a fish? Use a mundane example. You have to keep putting out the bait. Sometimes you catch one. I just keep putting out the bait. And I do catch fish regularly.
So when you were a kid, did you always think that you would become a devotee? Or
now, as a kid, my dad said, "Son, your college days is going to be the happiest days of your life." So I was looking for it. I'll get to college. And I got there, it was miserable as hell. And these are the happiest days of my life.
So what is it that really just kind of sparked you to start searching for something?
I was a depressed college student, and I went through 2 years of liberal arts studies at Austin College in Sherman, Texas, and nothing made any sense. But I attended one theatrical production. I said, and I was attracted by it. I thought, well, at least in theater, I can go into a false reality and forget the hellish normal reality I'm living in. So I decided to major in drama. I transferred to Austin, Texas, UT, which has a big, top-notch drama school. So I enrolled in the drama school, and I was all enlivened. I'm going to be an actor. Mm-hmm. And then one day, one of our graduates came back and told it was like in the real world of theater. I went, oh my God. And I was so depressed. Somebody in the hallway said, "How you doing?" I said, "Depressed." They said, "Don't say that." So I wasn't allowed to even be honest until that I was depressed. But one day I was meeting with one of my fellow students there in the drama department in the break room. He said, his name was Bob Singleton. He said, "There's something called self-realization, and you can achieve unlimited happiness." So I signed up for it. It didn't work. Then someone told me another guru. I tried that thing. It didn't work. So I was looking for self-realization, but I was getting teachers who weren't really qualified. It's a big business, self-realization business. And most people don't know what they're talking about. They're using it to make money. But then finally, I found a teacher who wasn't out to make money. He was just out to save people and bless them with enlightened consciousness, and that was Prabhupada.
And it all began there, huh?
It began in the break room at the University of Texas, my self-realization search.
Sounds like the title of a book.
Yeah. It began.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting book. I'm having a lot of fun writing. It should be an interesting read.
So was your family supportive of this?
Well, see, I was already a dropout hippie living in the streets. So, they had to adjust to that. And, but when I became a devotee, of course, my mother brought a Bible, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But my dad was cool. In fact, it was a very interesting thing. We are a little center there in Austin. One of our members had just come from the UK, where the Beatles were getting interested in Krishna consciousness. So he had this idea we can get the big people to come. So for my initiation ceremony, he invited the mayor of Austin to attend my initiation ceremony, and the mayor showed up. And my dad drove up from Houston. He's sitting there chatting with the mayor of Austin at his son's initiation ceremony. That really impressed my dad. You can imagine, wow, the mayor of Austin is attending, and it was a really big thing. So my dad was really cool with it. In fact, even at the moment of his death, we went there and we chanted Hare Krishna as he left his body. He was leaving his body here in the Hare Krishna mantra, which means he went back to the spiritual world.
Wow.
So yeah, my dad was cool. And mother was always, son, here's a Bible. She never could really get into it. My dad, but of course my mom really liked my wife. I got a nice devotee wife, but from India, from Fiji Islands, a Hindu girl, very qualified girl. But yeah, my dad was cool with it. He was really cool with it. He invited all of his friends over when I got married to the house to introduce us to he very much glorified our movement to all of his friends. My dad was cool with it, even though he was a Christian. He was cool with it.
That's great.
Very cool.
And you talk about your initiation. Does everyone have to go through initiation? And what is
initiation?
That like?
Is when you take a serious step that now I want to be initiated. You don't have to be initiated to practice it. No. Initiation is when you want to become a disciple and take these spiritual master's orders as your very life and soul. That's when you're really serious, put everything into it. That's called initiation. But many people are not initiated are very happy members of our movement. Initiation is an option for those who want to take it very, very seriously and become fully dedicated to Lord Krishna in this lifetime.
So what do people most misunderstand about Hare Krishna?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I didn't ask him. You didn't ask him. They think we're a cult. That's a popular thing, They think they were crazy. I don't know what they misunderstand. I don't know what the misunderstandings are, to be honest with you. I haven't. I don't know. I have so many people who are appreciating. I get emails from all over the world every day. People are loving and appreciating it. So as far as I don't know. It's a good question. What the current misunderstanding about Hare Krishna are.
Well, I invite our listeners to send in your answers. What do you misunderstand most about Hare Krishna? And if we get some good questions, we'll maybe have you back on the show and we'll talk about it.
That'd be really great. I'll be happy to come back, Bill.
Cool. Now, we've already talked about the Bhagavad Gita and the website you mentioned, but are there any resources that you would recommend for people who are interested in learning more about?
Absolutely. Just go to my e-course. Every day you'll get something in the email. www.joincourse, joincourse.com. You can write with me there. You can have contact or write me personally else.
All right.
You can even write me personally now if you want, sd@worldleader.com.
Great. Well, we will add those links directly to the show notes so that you don't have to do any searches for yourself. Just go to skepticmetaphysician.com and you can find all that stuff. Sankarshan, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was very eye-opening for me.
Very, very eye-opening.
I might open your eyes all the way. My goal is to open your eyes all the way so you become qualified to attain the spiritual world. That's my goal for you, Will.
Well, thank you.
All the way.
Thank you so much.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Thanks, Karen, for coming on this journey discovery with me.
It's always a pleasure.
And thank you, listener, as well. We'd love to continue our conversation with you on Facebook and Instagram, so please find us there under @SkepticMetaphysician or at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can subscribe to the show or leave us a review or a voicemail. As always, if you know someone who'd benefit from hearing the messages we've shared on this show or any of our others, I hope you'll consider sharing us with that person. If you missed any of our show today, not to worry. All of our shows, including this one, can be found on our site, skepticmetaphysician.com. You can become a member of the Skeptic Metaphysician community there for free and enjoy added benefits of discounts for services from some of our past guests, as well as a chance to connect with us directly. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Sadly, that's all we have for now. Thanks again for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.